And we are live. Do not adjust your screens. It is us back after a little bit of a hiatus. This is Stoppage Time FC. Remember, Stoppage Time Football Club is the Facebook group, the YouTube. Subscribe, notifications on, join the group. We got everybody here. We got Joe, Zach, Jack, Diego. And before we get started, I wanted to talk to my best friend, Jack. So, Jack, I knew I was going to see you today, right? When everybody see you, zoom on your screen if you can. That's a receipt. So I'm going to resend this back to you, Jack, in the mail tonight. This is the Havertz receipt. It's right here. I have the receipt. You know, it's not torn. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give it to you so we get our money back, or at least like a steep store discount.
All sales final.
No, man. No,
what my guy said.
Fellas, where do you want to start? A lot has transpired. It's transpired since we last talked. We got El Clasico coming this weekend. Champions League is in full swing.
What is that? What is the Champions League?
Oh yeah, I don't know. What is Europe like?
Is that a thing that teams do?
Midweek games?
I think we should start right there with the two Chelsea fellas.
Well,
how things are going.
Gotta go.
How's it going?
It could be worse. I'm not upset. I'm good right now. We've had a few good results back to back. I was a little shocked to not see Havertz start against us, you know? I was a bit disappointed, but nonetheless. Oh, you know what's funny? I actually saw an article that said he is having a major impact on y'all games. The funny part about it is that they say his impact is getting knockdowns, or getting knocked down rather, before y'all score pivotal goals, because apparently he got knocked down as y'all were about to score on City, and apparently he did it during y'all's comeback against us.
You talking about Kai Havertz?
Yes. I know, right? That's what I said. That is an odd way to say that someone is making a difference at a football club, but when it comes to him, the bar is so low.
I saw he won a 50-50 ball against Levi right before they scored, but is that what they're considering as a big impact?
To say that your impact is getting knocked down or fouled right before to put your team in position to score, that's kind of a backhanded compliment if I ever heard one, because that's not really a positive, but that's the argument. Again, the bar is pretty low for him at this point, unfortunately. So he doesn't do. That's why he wants to return him, but it's too late for that.
You can always take him. Listen, look at the amount of business that Arsenal and Chelsea have done together in the last decade. You don't think this is possible if you won't take him back?
No.
He cleared the bridge to the Emirates door.
He wanted to leave, my guy. He's not coming back. He wanted to go.
To leave, my guy. Hey. But yeah, Kai, it's not good for Kai. But the good news is, man, undefeated in the league.
I guess.
So things are pretty good. Joe, how's it going up there?
Hold on. We're not going to segue past that just yet.
Right.
How do you feel about that 2-2 game?
I feel great about it, because to me, we were god awful for 80 minutes and still drew.
Yeah, you were. And that's why I want to know.
It's a fair result. That's a fair opinion. Okay.
It's bad. It is. What you want me to say?
No, I mean this in all honesty. Like, you guys got a result, which is always better than a loss. 1 point is always better than none. Oh, yeah. But that was, and I know it was away from the Emirates, and you guys have midweek football and all those things play into it, right? Like, I totally get that.
I was We were bad.
That was not good.
Not good.
And if it wasn't for another one, DJ Khaled, another one, another abysmal performance from fucking Robert Sanchez, you would have walked away with no points.
Oh, we shouldn't have. It was a draw we shouldn't have got. But I think every title contending season, even like whether you were the Invincible, whether you the Man City 100 points, you're gonna have 2 or 3 of those every season where it's just ugly. It's ugly. You play bad. You should not win. You shouldn't get anything out of it, and you do. So I feel free. You can slander that performance as much as you want. I'll take the draw out of it because I won't even try to pretend like it wasn't good, like it was good. It wasn't.
Are you sold on Raya still?
No.
It's because I didn't. From what I've seen recently, I'm still wondering why you guys transitioned from Ramsdale.
Because we transitioned to Ramsdale because I think Mikel Arteta has decided. I think every manager has ego. And he decided, I'm going to win this way. Even at the detriment sometimes to our play. So I will play when he probably should be on the pine. I will persist with Kai Havertz. I do think it's interesting, though, that Kai Havertz, the 2 biggest games of the season, Kai Havertz hasn't started. And that was Man City, and that was you all.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there might be, I'm not going to say there's like a coming to the realization, but that's why I'm happy with where we're at right now, because I think we honestly played well like 3 times this season, like legitimately.
I'm seeing already the same things that and I know Ron's, you've talked about this in previous shows and in the group. We're seeing the exact same things that Chelsea fans have been saying about Kai Havertz for years, but now it's coming from the Arsenal contingency, and it's really interesting to kind of almost like put a stamp of solidity on what we were saying. And it was always, oh, you're playing him in the wrong position, you're not getting the best out of him. You're playing him in the wrong position, you're not getting the best out of him. And it's, oh, well, he can't adapt because there's no consistency with the managers. Well, like you can remove the boy from the team, but the mentality is gonna remain the same. And I don't think he's built for the Prem. He needs to stay in the Bundesliga or go to La Liga. He can excel there because they play a different style. They play a different game.
Zach, we have our banter and jokes between, but you're right. I'm not going to disagree. I think some players are not made for certain leagues. Some players, like as a Man City example, a former Man City player, I think that's, and I don't want to try to, we talking about Kai, but I think that's the case right now. Even though he's from England, I think that's Jadon Sancho. I don't think Jadon Sancho is really a Premier League player, despite being from England. Some people, I think you go to a league, it doesn't work. Like we've seen it 100. It doesn't work.
Interesting.
And Kai Havertz has been here too long, because the thing that the excuse for him has been, well, he got to adjust. He's been here 4 years. He's been here 4 years.
And he didn't even change cities. Like he's been in London for 4 years now.
Down the street.
Yeah.
Literally.
I think the great players though will transition. The great players, it doesn't matter what the league is. They they perform.
I don't think so.
So I think he's got a ways to go to prove himself still as a great forward, because he's not there yet.
Diego, I think that ship might have sailed. You
I
know,
was going to say, I don't think it's going to reach that.
we see guys like Jude who transitioned to a new league, and the dude's got 11 goals in 15 games.
Unreal.
Literally unstoppable.
Unreal. From his position too.
Yeah.
For a midfielder, that's a defensive midfielder to have that many goals is quite impressive.
But you look at like Jack Grealish, right? Jack Grealish goes what? Aston Villa to Man City.
Mm-hmm.
It took him what? It took a year. But you watch Jack Grealish play, even in that transition period, like, okay. Once he kind of figures out what Pep wants him to do, it's a lot to work with. And now you look at Jack. Last year, he was good season last year, same this year. Some guys aren't built for it. And I think Jadon Sancho, I think there's just some guys, the Premier League ain't for everybody. You know, the Premier League, I don't think Premier League from a skill level is as high as La Liga. Purely from a Premier League, the physical, the pace and the physicality of the Premier League, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's real. And I think some guys, it ain't it. No. That's just not it for them.
Yeah, and well, the interesting thing about that is based on the style of play that is the English Premier League. Pep Guardiola has been able to take his formula from La Liga, gather the players with high technical IQ and high soccer IQ, put them in his formula, and get the same exact result. So it can be done, but you have to have the right pieces on your team to be able to play a more technical game.
And you also, like Joe could talk about this with Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland is young, but Erling Haaland is a 1999 built striker.
Yeah.
6'4". I don't know what he weighs, but probably 180, 185. He looks like an NBA shooting guard. Like that stature of build with the technical ability. And so, yeah, so, you know.
He's a Zlatan 2.0.
You said what?
He's a Zlatan 2.0.
That's a really good comparison, Diego, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I was trying to think of who I would compare him to, and the closest I could come to was Drogba, because he's got that bully mentality. But I think Zlatan's even better. I think that's a much better comparison.
Because Zlatan, he, for his size, highly skillful on the ball as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think you look at Chelsea, all the injuries, but I think there are things to like Mudryk has looked a lot better since the last time we spoke. Mudryk has played a lot better.
You keep talking about players where you see the flashes. They may not have adapted, but you see the flashes, and the kid's getting there. Like he's getting there, and you see the hard work that he oozes every single day. And it's that I'm reading numerous reports that they're literally banning him from the gym because they can't get him out of there. He's constantly working, he's constantly lifting and training, and it's just like when you have players like that, you get excited for that, because the work ethic, you can get behind a player who's struggling, that shows the work ethic, that shows the desire. And I think that's why Chelsea fans also like Timo, is because Timo, for all of his faults, he had that never say die attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Just get the man a set of keys to the place,
Just move in.
They don't have to kick him out. You just give him a set of keys.
Franklin has got to stay there all late. You see him trying to pay that. He get his own key. Joe, how do you feel about life up there in the light in the sky blue? What's the word?
We had a less than ideal stretch when Rodri decided to go a little crazy and get himself a red card and get out for 3 games of English football. He came back in the 4 games spell that he was out. He was played 1, and that was a Champions League game. We won against Leipzig. That's the other 3 games that he had to sit, all losses. So that tells you right there how important that dude is to what City does, and the fact that we don't have someone that can fill the role that he plays for our club. And the bad timing piece there was John Stones was still out, and he's the most capable backup that would be able to fill and do the same things that Rodri does. So that the timing wise wasn't great. We went into the international break losing 3 out of 4. So during the break, not ideal, but from me and some of my other guys that are City fans, we weren't feeling super stressed out about it. We've been in this position before where we start slow, and then once wintertime comes around, we hit our stride, we hit a stretch. So there was never any panic. We wanted to see more from Calvin Phillips. He had a golden opportunity to seize a legitimate role within the team, and he was given first crack at it with Rodri out against Newcastle, and he got a full run out there, and he did not seize that opportunity. So unfortunate for him. It looks like he's going to be out of City come January.
Yeah.
But coming back from break, played Brighton, tough opponent coming off of an international break, but they took care of business and won 2-1. Was nice to see how well Jeremy Doku has been settling into the squad, to the point where it was hard for Jack Grealish, who was healthy, to get back into the club on a regular basis because Doku was playing so well. And I saw Zach's face just then because he's been hyping Doku for a couple of years, and there are receipts on the Stoppage Time page of Zach talking about this kid 2-3 years ago. So
Hurts my heart.
I know. But he is a friggin' problem, man. He is an issue for people because of his speed and his quick feet and explosiveness with the ball. And then today in the Champions League, we took care of business against Young Boys with a 3-1 dub. So all necessary points in the Champions League so far, 9 out of 9. And Holland has gotten back on the score sheet. He had 2 today, 1 against Brighton. So there was a stretch there where he was in a kind of a funk scoring wise, because he wasn't scoring, 1 or 2 every other game. But he was still the leading goal scorer in the Premier League. So it's not like he was really struggling. He was still doing fine, but he set a high standard for himself. So everybody's back healthy except for Kevin. He's due back January, hopefully, maybe a little sooner if the reports are that he's been back with the first team a little bit with some light training. So it seems like he's healing pretty quickly. So once Kevin gets back and hopefully no other injuries crop up, we'll be doing what we usually do come December, and that's putting together a stretch of wins and getting ourselves back to the top of the Premier League, even though Tottenham's sitting there right now.
Speaking of, I was literally going to segue there next. Can we talk about the fucking anomaly that's sitting at the top of the table right now?
Undefeated, just like Arsenal.
I can't believe I'm going to say this shit, but they look good. They lost their best player by a country mile, and they look like they haven't skipped a beat.
I will be the first one to eat crow on Angie, because I didn't think he was a terrible a terrible manager, but I just didn't know enough about him. I didn't really know anything about him, so I didn't expect him to come in and change the style of play that they have implemented this year. And with him calling the shots and the style of football that they're playing, it's so much better than the past with Conte and Mourinho and all the defensive and counterattacking football that they played. And it's a shame that they lost Kane, because now they're playing the type of football that he would even excel even more at. now that he's gone, they're playing attacking football finally. So it's like, what could y'all have done had you not been so defensive minded with the managerial choices? So
And that's
kudos to them.
that's all on Daniel Levy. Had they made this move when they should have, you might still have Harry Kane and this lineup. So, that's on them. I don't feel one bit sorry for them.
Yeah, the Tottenham is, I didn't grow up in London, so I've never been a big Spurs hater. As an Arsenal fan, you're supposed to hate Spurs. I've never really considered them like a rival. One day we'll have to do a show on like who is really your most hated team. Spurs is not it for me. It's not them. They are a fun team though. Like Spurs and Brighton are the two most fun teams in the league to watch. And
I'm not mentioning that fucking club, Ronnie. Don't you dare.
Brighton is a thing. I get it.
I'll give you mine. I don't even have to join that show. PSG, period. No debate there.
You've expressed your feelings about that club before, so we are on board there.
Yeah.
People go deep. I've talked to Diego like in our group. He's a very nice person. Really nice, mild-mannered guy. But the better PSG turn a switch in Diego that is kind of frightening, to be honest. But yeah.
The past couple years, I think they just proved that with the roster that they had, and I don't think that you could blame one player who was there 2 years on this constant journey to win the Champions League. They put all the chips in. Guy gets there 2 years and it's now his team, and it's your fault that they didn't get there. Look at the players and the teams they had previously to Messi even getting to Paris. By golly, they should have won 1 or 2 before that. with the kind of rosters that they had and all the money that they poured it into the club, and then the treatment that any football fan, come on, you're not gonna boo that guy. Nicest guy in the world.
I think when they didn't, it's so you guys like point to the moment it turned for a club. I think when Barcelona came back, what was this? It was 4-0. PSG was up 4-0, and then Barcelona came back. It was like 6-1.
Correct.
I think that was it. Then I think there's some things you don't come back from. I don't think if you look at they cycle how many managers since then? 4, 5.
Well, I think that when they fired Tuchel after making the final, that to me will never sit right. Like that, you take the team to the Champions League final and lose a heartbreaker. It was a good match. Like, and then you fire them?
I think that was a bad move.
Bang up
Should've
job
let
on
him
that
stick around.
executive group, man. Let me tell you, Jimmy Pujols, that's your club, right, bro? Terrible. It is.
It's all things La Liga. No, he's not.
It's just football sometimes.
Yeah, it is, and they're not it. But Diego, I want to go to you because this weekend is El Clasico coming up. And we have fun with Diego in our group chat about the levers and et cetera. But one thing Barcelona does tend to find every year is there's some golden child. There's some child in the academy who's like 12 years old, who they just throw into a match and say, hey, kid, make something happen. And there's another child. This one is, Diego, give me his name.
Mark Wee.
Mark Wee, who was born the year Arsenal went to the Champions League final. That was 2006.
Versus Barcelona.
And so, Diego, I know you were saying pre-show things have been a little rocky, but every time we love Barcelona, this is the downfall. Nope.
You know, obviously a lot of issues in the front office, financially, a dumpster fire. But I think that situation has facilitated relying on the youth academy, continuing to develop the players as they have in the past, and that's always been their philosophy. So transitioning now, and you can see even in today's Champions League game, you have Ferran Torres and Fermin Lopez. Fermin, another youth academy player, scoring and helping the team. I think Xavi's he's in a situation where he would like to have the financial freedom to get another big winger, but the youth is coming up big, and since the last time we talked, it was the transition of Joao ×2 to the club, and that's working out great. Let me tell you, I did not think it was going to work as good as it has been going. I know Joao Felix had a injury today, so he joins the long IR list, but they've been doing great. So, and Cancelo too. He's been a big piece there on the right hand side. So hey, it's working out. It's working out so far.
I'm happy for you, Diego. I don't give a shit about that dude though. That's some real talk right there. I'm very happy for you because I love my guys and I want y'all to be happy, but man, fuck
that's
that.
all right.
Sorry.
And Gundo has been fantastic too. He's been a huge
my guy right there.
Contributor and playing really well. So all in all, I have to say yes. I'm very nervous for the weekend because of all the crucial injuries, but it's going to be a big test to see the youth kids step in this kind of situation. Go for it, Joe.
I got a question for Diego because he follows the league a little more than we do because of Barcelona. It is city related. I apologize, but Girona.
Shocker.
Hey, I know, right? Girona is one of our clubs that we have an affiliation with. Can they continue to do what they're doing and stay in Champions League positions, or are they gonna fade?
It's a good question. Only 10 games in. Yes, they are doing really well. Yes, they're a point above. They're tied with Real Madrid at 25. Barcelona is a point down.
Man, recall Diego.
But we'll see. That's a good question. I don't know because it's a long season and you have to have a lot of depth in your roster. We'll see how they manage. If they are capable of staying healthy and keeping the momentum going, then I think they can hang on. They're going to slip up here and there. I think it's just natural, but will it be tragic and then go into a slump and then they drop to mid-table, or can they bounce back from dropping points and hang on to top 4? I don't know if top 4, that's going to be tough in La Liga, but I could see maybe a Europa League spot, 5th or 6th, somewhere in there if they can hang on. I don't know. It is hard to say, but yes, they are a surprise in La Liga, and they're playing well. They're playing well. I did catch a little glimpse of a couple of their games, and they've been good.
I was digging into the tables before we got on, and I was looking at Girona, and I was like, I don't know any of these dudes other than Daley Blind and Eric Garcia.
Yeah.
On their roster, like I don't know a single player other than those two.
Well, and speaking of which, too, if I'm not mistaken, let me look back here. I think they already played Real Madrid. I don't think they've played Barcelona yet. I think that game, let me see. That game is going to be in December, so we'll see. And they got a pretty tough November coming up. They got some pretty good games, and then the Copa del Rey will start up here soon too. So
speaking of La Liga, though, like I'm looking at the table right now, and you know, you have your usual suspects at the top. Was Sociedad show they proved that last year that they were a strong team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Betis isn't doing bad. They're struggling a little bit, but they're putting points together. What I'm looking at is near the bottom of the table, seeing Sevilla and Villarreal. Like, what is going on with these two clubs? It's almost like after Emery left Villarreal, and you know, Sevilla's just been in shambles for years, except for when it comes to the Europa League for some reason.
Yeah, they had Jorge Sampaoli, the 2018 coach for Argentina. That was a dumpster fire. I don't think the team bought in. He wasn't able to implement his ideas and really get the team around. But yeah, somehow Europa League, they performed and win after win after win. Of course, we know their history there with that tournament. And yeah, Villarreal was a little bit surprising that they're that far down, because they had a really good second half of last season, and you could see the team coming around. And they're always a tough opponent, And I don't know. Right now, they're at 14th, so still a lot of league left. We'll see if they can turn it around. And then La Liga does take a pretty lengthy break for the holidays. It's a couple weeks, so maybe in that time they can hit the reset button if they haven't already started their climb up to the top. So we'll see. Villarreal, I always hold pretty dear to my heart because of ex-Argentinians. A lot of Argentinians play there, and if you guys remember, even Giuseppe Rossi. You guys remember Giuseppe Rossi? Jersey born, raised in Manchester United, but yeah, he was one of my favorite players in the early to mid 2000s. So he played for Villarreal. So.
And we talk about guys that works in one league and it doesn't work in another. You know, remember like Diego Forlan.
Forlan's a great example.
Diego Forlan was terrible with United. He got sent to Villarreal, and all of a sudden he looks like Diego Forlan again. You know, so
yeah, that duo with Riquelme was lethal at Villarreal. And in the Champions League, that 2006 Champions League, Riquelme misses a PK versus Inter Milan that could have taken them to, I believe it was the semis or even the finals that year. I think it was 2005. Maybe it was 2005 Champions League. But you see a club like that, where they're usually mid to top table team in La Liga. They were one step away from that Champions League. They had quite the squad. And you're right, Diego Forlan was probably at his best in Villarreal, I think.
Now, we talk about Barcelona gambling on the youth. Not that this is going to be a very messy segue to somebody else who gambled. I told you it was going to be a messy segue.
Oof. Busted.
Listen, I think AC Milan said, because we know these clubs, they watch the player, they investigate the player, they know what they like. We know what your activities are off the pitch. AC Milan, they probably went into the old, checked the old bank statement. It was like, yeah, he's doing something he's not supposed to do. Newcastle, would you like him for $30 million? Sure. Why not? You can have him. Tonali gets busted for betting. Fellas.
10-month ban.
10 months.
Jack, there's no way that AC Milan knew about this, right?
No possible way, man. There's no way. Like, because I mean, who would do such a thing? Like, not a pristine club like AC Milan. Not someone who just lost like the backing of one of their legendary players last year. Not that club. I don't know. Zach, do you have any thoughts on this? Because I would love to hear the energy you gave me when I said this exact statement.
I don't buy it. And you know what? You can call it naivety, you can call it whatever you want, but I'm erring on the side of from a business perspective here. If AC Milan knew about it and they actively sold him knowing that he was doing it, they are giving UEFA and FIFA an open door to persecute them at the highest level. Because that is saying that you knew about this, you did not report it, and then you tried to get out from under it by selling him. So you can say that they knew about it. Maybe they did. And if that's the case, then so be it. But from a club perspective, that would be the dumbest thing that they could do, would be to sell him knowing that he has this looming. That's why I say that I don't buy it.
Okay.
Joe?
I find it very interesting that this is the second time in a not too long period of time where we have a fairly high profile player getting busted for gambling on his team's games.
They haven't confirmed that he bet on his own team yet.
That's the speculation, right? But they haven't confirmed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's him and Zanilo. So Aston Villa are a part of this as well, because Zanilo is a part of this as well. But they're digging through the metadata now, to see basically what was going on there. I'm not gonna lie to that meme where you see Tonali crying after his last Milan game, and it says that when you lose 5-3, but you bet the over 5 goals, is a mint gem, and that's a classic. So
it begs the question, I guess, with three guys that have been popped in the past in a short period of time. How widespread is this going on? Like, it's got to be happening with other guys. Other dudes are 100% doing this, but I guess are better at hiding it. I don't know, but it's a very curious door that they're opening with these players getting busted for a very long period of time. 10 months is a long time in the football world.
So here's my question, and this is where I want to play a little comparison game, and I want your guys' opinions on this. So we look at the other the third culprit in this situation that hasn't been mentioned yet, but he was the first one that got caught. Ivan Toney. He is due back from his 9-month suspension in January, roughly, I think.
Yep.
Where do they justify the sentencing, right? So how do they get it 10 months for Tonali, but 9 months for Toney? When I'm looking at Tonali's, like, they're looking at an 18-month minimum, but he's pleading down to 10 months. Like, where's the rationale here? How are we, like, what are the levels of the triggers of how we justify what the actual suspension is? Because I think right now they're literally like 9 months. Did it stick? Okay, cool. 10 months. Yep, that sounds good. Like, I don't think they have any fucking clue what they're doing. They're just like, yeah.
Part of his suspension too is he actually has to go to rehab too.
Well, so did Toney.
Okay, I didn't know he did. Okay,
because that's going to cure your gambling addiction.
I think it also depends with Tonali on what comes out as in the metadata. Because, like, I know, like, Ivan Toney was not. It's not a good thing. But Ivan Toney bet on Brentford a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
If it turns out Tonali bet on, fingers crossed that he didn't bet against his own team. I think it also is going to be dependent on, like, are you betting other Serie A matches? Were you betting other leagues? But I think if I'm a club, I'm calling a players meeting right now. I'm saying you all can, you all want to play cards on the plane on the road trip. Okay, do not. I repeat, do not bet on sports. Period. Not soccer, not cricket, not rugby, not American sport. You all can play cards. Other than playing cards, that's it. We can just cut this out as a hard rule, because you see the slopes it goes down under. I was reading something on Twitter. We talked about the gambling that, remember when Paul Pogba's brothers basically blackmailed him.
Mm-hmm.
One of the prevailing theories on Twitter that it was over gambling is that there's an unpaid gambling debt somewhere. So to me, Zach, I agree with you. How they deal out the punishments is really kind of random.
Mm-hmm.
But this is where you have to just step in, just establish a policy and say, look, none at all. Just period. Just stop. We just go across the board, just stop gambling.
I also find it funny that, okay, so Ivan Toney allegedly only bet on Brentford to win. He never bet on his own team to lose. Right. Shout out to Pete Rose here. When the dish meets stoppage time, Pete Rose is facing a lifetime ban from the Hall of Fame because of gambling on sports. These dudes are getting 9-10 month bans and resuming football operations. Like, the big disparity here is huge. And maybe it's because of the era that Pete Rose played in, but I find it funny how it's now so much more socially acceptable, but Major League Baseball is still holding on to that crutch of never letting Pete Rose in the Hall.
And to piggyback on that, Zach, the hypocrisy level of all of these leagues that are coming down on these players for doing this shit, when all of them are in bed with all these sports books and betting apps that are advertising on in the stadiums, have betting sportsbook things in the stadiums for fans in the stadium to go up to and get merch and sign up, and across all sports. This isn't just soccer or baseball. Like, all of them have their hands in the cookie jar of sports betting, and yet these players are getting slapped with bans and looked down upon and frowned upon and kept out of the Hall of Fame when the people in charge are raking in cash from these people. It's just
don't forget
Line them
the
pockets.
the advertisement even during the games. You know, watch any football game on Sunday, DraftKings, FanDuel, every commercial break. There's at least one of those commercials on. I agree with you, Joe.
Then the Premier League, just to bring this back to the beautiful game, the Premier League has the audacity to ban gambling sites on the front of kits. Like pot, meat, kettle, like what are you doing here? You can't play the holier than thou card now.
That's right. And I think that's where the club has to step in and say, yeah, I know what the league is allowing, but you all cannot. Just
Agreed.
as a rule, if I'm the owner of a club, I'm calling a team meeting. You all not.
So if you're Newcastle and Tonali gets let's say a 10-month ban, are you seeking legal retribution?
I think if I'm Newcastle and I can prove that he was under investigation or something to that effect when this transfer happened. Yeah.
Yes.
How
would you prove that though? How would you prove that?
That's a good question.
Milan knew and like unless there's an actual like served letter, like it's gonna be hard to prove.
It's hard to prove. It would be messy. But I think his transfer, and I remember when we talked about in our little group chat, that was awfully suspicious.
Yeah.
Tonali was like at the time, he's like one of the best young players Italy has. And even Newcastle with all that new money, that was cheap for him. Like,
so okay, let's play devil's advocate here.
Go ahead.
Let's say that Newcastle knew that, and that's why it was so cheap. AC Milan's like, hey, like there might be this thing that comes down the pipeline. That's why we're selling him to you for this amount of dollar. Don't come knocking on my door when the cows come home and the chickens come to roost. Like, is there, I don't know. I don't know.
I just know when they said that when they said Tonali was for sale, Arsenal was kind of on the periphery of like, we're interested. And we got told 75. We got told 75. And then what he go for 40?
Yeah, it was a very cheap number.
Yeah, the number on him was too cheap. So I don't know.
I guess my thing is I think the just going back to kind of like their suspension, if they do investigate and they do prove that they were betting on their own games or even on their own league, which I think that you should be banned because they have a lot of acquaintances, they know a lot of people, and it does affect your game, and especially if you're betting on your own game, whether you are betting on your team to win, regardless of that situation, it's going to affect it, and it's going to affect the outcome. And they need to sit out for a little while.
Yeah, I'm with you too, because and you don't want to be stereotypical or whatever, but we know in Italy, organized crime, that's a thing. That's just not us in America watching movies. No, that's that's real. And to me, when you start going down that road, because we know organized crime is part of it has its hands in gambling and sport. You know, Tenali gets in debt with the wrong people, like that can go really bad. All jokes aside, so no, if it's proven he was betting on his team in La Liga, I'm with Diego. You got to really put the hammer. You got to really put.
Because look at all the situation that Juventus had gone through, and you know, buying referees, and of course that organized crime had their hand in that situation. You know, but I think yes, it's a big deal, and whatever they do decide and whatever is investigated, the suspension is warranted. I feel bad, from a footballing side. I never want to see a guy, not be able to play a game they love. But in this situation, you got to sit out, man. Sorry.
For what it's worth, Ronnie, they paid 70.
They paid 70. Okay.
70 plus 5 in add-ons.
Okay, fair enough. That's what he should have. We got that's fair. It's fair.
Can we talk about Manchester United?
What about them?
I'm curious. Thoughts?
They are.
Oh, don't they have a derby this weekend?
They better catch an ass whooping on Sunday. That's what's going on. Y'all gonna start Harry Maguire against Erling Haaland and Jeremy Doku?
First of all,
good luck.
The fact that Harry Maguire has saved your Champions League campaign is a thing in itself.
He got to go. And it wasn't an own goal.
They wanted him out of there. He had one foot out the door, and he saved your season.
They're still behind the 8 ball. They got some climbing to do in that group.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're still behind Galatasaray, and I'll tell you what, if you guys haven't been noticing, the hottest player in the world might be Mauro Icardi.
Huh? Yep, I noticed.
He's been playing lights out since the move to Galatasaray.
Good old Mauro. Never a dull moment with old Icardi. Never a dull moment.
Icardi, I tell you what, man. He had his opportunity. I'm glad he's doing well, but his opportunity, even with Argentina, it's past. He, as good as he's doing, I don't know that this Argentina squad would even remotely consider bringing him on.
Yeah,
I think he would just ruin that team camaraderie. And he's got so much off the field drama. Hey, I'm happy for him though. Keep scoring. Help your team.
Y'all already got your number 9. Y'all are good. Y'all got Julian Alvarez.
We do. We don't need anyone else. And Martinez is doing extremely well with Inter. Too. He's on a good streak right now. So no, I think we're good. We're good.
Joe, I'm not because Arsenal like in this title race with Liverpool, Tottenham, and you all. I really shouldn't root for City, but we kind of need City to do the world a favor and just give Man United that solid 3-0, 4-1. Because
6-1, bro.
Yeah, they gotta.
Damn.
we need a Liverpool type score for Man U.
5-0,
7-1, something like that. Yeah.
They've had like 3 weeks where they have been really walking on a tightrope for about 3 weeks. They scraped by. Someone can pull the results. They won 1-0 like 3-4 in a row, and not convincing whatsoever. So somebody has to kind of kick them off the tightrope real quick, because no, I'm not.
We the right ones to be doing it then.
Somebody got to do it. We
2-1. The last 2 Premier League matches have been 2-1 in their favor. Then the one before that, they lost to Crystal Palace. Then they beat Burnley 1-0.
Wow.
Got drubbed by Brighton 3-1.
And then Arsenal before that.
Arsenal before that, yeah.
And the 2-1 against Nottingham Forest was Scott McTominay, like 2 injury time goals. Like they were behind. Like, nah. Somebody got to do
Very
this.
unconvincing.
Good old McMuffin.
The downfall of, or the regression of Marcus Rashford is a crime.
I don't think Marcus Rashford has regressed. I think Eric Ten Hag is a clown and is using him in the wrong way. Like, I've never seen a manager so inept and exclude his best player quite like I've seen Ten Hag do. And when you couple it with the whole Jadon Sancho situation, like I got nothing for that man. Like,
Let me tell you, Jadon Sancho, I stand with Jadon Sancho on that. I'm gonna tell you why. Yes, he is not played well. There's no, I don't think he's made for the Premier League. Cool. You can't tell me he's not better than Anthony. Nobody can convince me that Anthony is better than Jadon Sancho. I don't care what happens in training.
he's better than every forward on that roster not named Marcus Rashford. And maybe this is really subjective. Maybe Holland, Hoyland, whatever the hell you want to call his name.
What about Mount?
I said forward.
Oh, well,
Is Mason Mount hurt?
Nope.
No, he got subbed for Scotty McMuffin.
He just doesn't play.
Yeah, he's no longer
Number 7 at Man United doesn't play. What?
Yeah,
And I've been a little disappointed with Garnacho. I thought after last season that he had
was trending
this
the right
year,
way.
he was trending in the right way. Yeah, and I don't know if he plateaued there or just going through a little slump, but I know he's still young, but I would like to see Garnacho do a little bit better here.
Ten Hag loves him though. I mean, he starts damn near every match. He's just
not
very,
producing.
He's very like vanishing act in the matches, and I don't know if that's who's around him, or the style that they're playing, but it leaves a lot to be desired there for sure.
And I'm gonna tell you who's disappointing on that team, and he is the classic player where don't look at numbers. That's Bruno Fernandes.
We don't talk about Bruno.
If you look at Bruno Fernandes' numbers, you're like, okay. But if you watch Bruno Fernandes play, nah. Nope.
Not for me.
Nope.
That team has to get out of that Champions League group, otherwise they're in trouble. Like I feel like that would be a cataclysm of the season, and it would just be the rock that sends them tumbling down the hill.
Which I would be here for, because like I said, we're gonna have a fun show one day, talk about just like hated clubs and kind of stuff that relates to our football taste one day.
Mm-hmm. That'd be a good one.
They up there for me. They absolutely are up there.
Going back to our season preview, Mr. Jack there.
Hmm?
During our season preview, you did say that a club in red.
Oh, we have a down season.
We're going to have a little bit of a downfall and a down season. You're looking pretty good there, my friend.
I love it when the plan comes together.
He was talking about Brentford, right?
No, hush. I love it even more when Mason Mount is a part of this red team going down.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy for you, right?
Exactly. Perfect guy to have. Perfect.
Let me tell you something. The PFA Player of the Year is whoever runs transfer negotiations for Chelsea Football Club, because they really did a number with Mason Mount and Kai Havertz. Like that's $120 million of profit. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Now I'm curious. Let's see here. Mason Mount has 0 goals. He has 0 assists.
He's the real 007.
He has 3 shots on target. That's his current stat line. Is 3 shots
many
on
minutes? How many minutes has he logged?
target. He's got 4 starts, 5 appearances. Let's see.
Four starts and 5 appearances. How many games have been played in the Premier League so far?
The top
About 8.
8 or 9. It's 8 or 9.
Okay, so he's
the top players on United. Rashford has played 9 matches, and Fernandez has played 9 matches. Now that's including Champions League and the Cup, and things like that. So he has 295 minutes in the Premier League. He's got another 45 minutes in the EFL Cup and another 85 minutes in the Champions League. So he's got seven games altogether. He does have an assist in the EFL Cup. And I'm pretty sure they lost that match.
I tell you what, my best friend Jack, he be right. To Jack's everlasting trollish credit, he said Mason Mount wasn't it. Mason Mount's not it. Kai Havertz not it. Kai Havertz isn't it.
Let's get on a different topic. That's because I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are before we wrap up. Give me the one team that you've been super impressed with this season, not your club.
Not mine.
I will go with the club that Jack and I saw live and in person back in DC, and go with Aston Villa in the Prem. They're sitting 5th and they're playing some very good football, and I've enjoyed watching them when I've had the chance, and I don't think many people had them sitting in 5th.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Douglas Luiz is the first Villa player to score in like 5 straight home matches or something like that for Villa.
And he's a holding guy. He's not an attacking mid. He's more of a defensive type guy. He's putting in goals. That's something.
I'll go if you guys are looking.
Go ahead. I got mine, but go first.
The absolute phenomenal play from Bayer Leverkusen this year has been probably better than almost any team I've seen. Their games are just so much fun to watch. And Xabi Alonso has done an amazing job there. And you look at the team that he has. They got Tapsoba and Jonathan Tah in defense. They got Frimpong and Grimaldo on the edges. The ex-Arsenal legend Granit Xhaka in the midfield. Like they are playing so well, and I think if I'm not mistaken, they're on top of the Bundesliga table by a couple of points. So
yeah,
for me,
by 1 point,
Okay.
actually. By 1 point. They are 1 point ahead of Stuttgart.
Who had that on their bingo card?
Not me.
And I'm gonna step in and add, because I'm always looking out for my Argentina national team players, but Ezequiel Palacios there with Leverkusen, he's been logging in some good PT and doing really well. So yeah,
He's a midfielder, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's him and Xhaka kind of anchor in that midfield, and that's they've
Correct.
been good. They've been really, really good, and it's been a very good bright spot for me, considering I had such high hopes for Berlin this year, and when they brought in all those players and they made all those moves, like I was like, man, you got to watch out, because they made that deep Europa run last year. I was like, they're gonna challenge, and they, woof, they are
Not so much.
awful, and it stinks because as a Chelsea fan, we have David Fofana there, and his loan might get cut short after the last match because he got into a fight with the head coach, and like I don't know if he spit at him or what he did, but it's bad, like bad.
That's one way to get your loan cut short is to get in a fight with the manager while you're on loan.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll do.
The team I'm most impressed. I don't know if I'm gonna say the most impressive. I think, and I know Joe is. I'm gonna put my hand over the screen when I say this. I know Joe is not gonna be pleased with this answer. But I think Liverpool is gonna make this a really interesting title race. Okay, I'm gonna pull my hand back so I can see. They look like they have kind of found something. And especially Darwin Núñez. Again, we talk about somebody needing a year for the adjustment to the league. Darwin Núñez looks dangerous. I think they have more options in the midfield than they had last year as far as attacking. If they can stay relatively healthy, now the Europa League is always a drag on your season. Like it's just a slog. We could be sitting here in March and April, and it's Man City and Arsenal and Liverpool. 'Cause I'm not sure about Tottenham if they stayed up. I don't know if Tottenham has the depth of squad for a whole title run. Liverpool probably could make this a 3-team race. And I know Joe is, and I know Diego's hate for PSG is probably only matched by Joe Jurgen Klopp. So, but yeah,
You're not wrong though. They're playing much better, and all it took was them to finally fucking listen to Stoppage Time and sign some fucking midfielders.
Man,
We've been saying this shit for 5 years. Look what happens.
Yep. Stop playing the ghost of fucking Steven Gerrard in Hendo and James Milner, and get some youthful midfielder in there, and you'd be amazed how much better they look as a squad. Because McAllister and Zabozalai, or however the hell you say his name, like they hit the ground running. And that was exactly what we thought was going to happen. And that's now they have the problem of how do they fit all those forwards into 3 spots, because now they don't even have midfield spots to put them in out of position.
yeah.
So I'm gonna go with my squad, and we already talked about the team that's impressing me the most is Girona. At least I didn't have them on the radar being top of the table, even a fourth of the way in the season. But I also want to make mention of Real Sociedad, which Zach mentioned before too, because I've watched a few of their games and they are entertaining. They are entertaining to watch. It surprised me that even with David Silva retiring from football, that they were going to take a hit to having, well, they lost their field general, but I tell you what, they picked up where they left off, and they're fun to watch. So I think they're a team to look out. And
They're top of their group in the Champions League.
Literally, same. Because I was just going to say that.
Yep. So they're fun to watch, and also Leipzig. I like Leipzig with Danny Olmo. He's doing really well, and I think Xavi Simons he's a midfielder that I have always followed from his time in Barcelona, and I was hoping that he would get an opportunity, but he ended up leaving to the club that I dislike. And but I'm glad he's finally, coming into his own and getting time there at Leipzig and playing really well. So good to see.
Bang up job again by PSG's administrative board, getting rid of him. Great call, y'all.
Well,
right,
bet on Barcelona for letting him go. That was bad move.
Wow. Well, I guess not to copy my Chelsea compatriot, but I'll probably say Leipzig too. I can't say that I'm shocked that they're playing this good because we kind of saw it once Xavi took over last year anyway. But they are really looking dangerous. They have one of the highest goal scorers in Bundesliga, correct?
Who?
Oh, Leverkusen. No, you know what? I'm thinking about Stuttgart, right?
Stuttgart has USA,
And he has like 14 goals in like 9
cooking.
Who's about to get sold in January for a ridiculous release clause, by the way. $18 million.
Super low for somebody with that many goals.
Jesus. Yeah. Madrid, here you come or something. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's in Stuttgart.
Okay, yeah, my bad. But Leverkusen, though, just like you said, everything you said about them, the way they play is really fun to watch. And as much as we talk about being a Farmers League, so far this season, Bayern look like they might be in a little trouble. So we'll see how it ends when it's all said and done.
If we can squeeze it in rapid fire, I'd like to ask the exact opposite of the question that I just asked. What's the team that's been most disappointing for you? Obviously, not your club, unless it is your club.
Wow.
Can I start?
Go for it.
Yes, sir.
And I know I hate to do this, but I have to be honest. Zach, Jack, I really had higher hopes for your club starting this season.
Hey, that's okay.
I really did. And I'm still pulling for you guys to do well, and especially my boy Enzo Fernandez,
I was just about to say, I know what this is about.
But it is with the injuries do have an effect, but hopefully when players start to come back from injuries and get the ball rolling again, hopefully they tie in several wins, get their way back up to the top of the table. Because honestly, Chelsea is a historical club in England that I always felt that, even before the Mourinho days, they're always competitive. Obviously, Mourinho got them over the hump to be an extremely successful club and also a European powerhouse. So that's kind of the standard and expectations. I'm sure, which I know that's your guys' standard and expectation. So I was hoping that they invested all of this money. You know, they basically got truckloads of cash out there. So I would say that would be the disappointment for me where they're at now. But I understand injuries they're killers.
Chelsea have a finishing problem, and if you look at the XG stats, they would be second based on XG alone. And you know, if when you can't finish the goals that you're supposed to, then your obviously results are not going to be where they need to be. So I totally get it, totally understand, because I know that Jack and I probably echo that statement at least to a degree. But you know, I'm hoping, I'm hopeful. Things are starting to click. You know, if you can get healthy and maintain a little bit of health, I think that can go a long way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Hopeful.
Like go ahead.
No, I was just saying I like hearing a hopeful side of my Chelsea brethren over here. Also doom and gloom most of the time. That's a welcome change.
It's been a dark time, man. Leave us alone.
Justifiably, that's what I'm saying. It's justifiably doom and gloom at this point. I'm just glad that y'all ain't taking it too hard.
I mean, you can just tell by the background in Zach's picture. It's the black and white logo. Otherwise, it'd be the bright royal blue.
Attention to detail, Diego. You always good, bro. That shit's intentional. He knows that.
We're still in mourning here.
My biggest disappointment is Man U. And I mean that like on every level of that club, especially on the manager level. Like, it's just sad. The owners, they did this whole dance of selling. The Sheik guy met their offer, I think, like 3 times over. They still decided not to sell. Ten Hag has no control over this club or locker room, I'm convinced at this point. It's just disappointing altogether for a historical club and whatnot. So, you know, they're honestly my biggest disappointment. As much as I'm enjoying this disappointment, though, don't get it twisted, but a disappointment nonetheless.
Yeah. For everything Jack just said, it's Man United. You know, I'm willing to spot Chelsea half a season, because I know when you have that much turnover, it's highly unlikely it's going to all come together that quick. So I'll spot them that, but Man United is just
it's train wreck, man.
Just nasty work.
Which RIP to Bobby Charlton.
For them to still sit like at that high in the table is actually impressive, considering.
It is. It is slightly impressive. I'm not going to lie.
Zach, did you give an answer, or are you waiting to go last?
I'll go last. I'll finish it up. You can go ahead.
Wrexham, how dare y'all not be in fucking first place? All that fucking money you're spending, Ryan Reynolds and is it McElhenney? They like to tease him that he's just a second guy. I know his real name. Thank you. But I say that tongue in cheek. I just want to talk about Wrexham for a second, being in third and doing big things. So keep up the good work. My answer would probably be Chelsea, because I had them in a weekday spot by the end of the season. So I would say Chelsea.
Well, good thing we're only 9 games into a 38 game season. So
bingo.
Mine, I can't believe that all of you glossed over this team, because this team currently sits 17th out of 18 teams in their league. How in the actual fuck is Ajax this bad?
Yeah.
Barcelona took all their players.
Wow.
Everybody did. You know, and it's amazing that they sold Kudus to West Ham when they did. And I don't blame them. I would have gotten out of there too at this point.
like we talk about all these like historic clubs and everything, and Ajax is damn near going to get relegated out of the Dutch Eredivisie, which would be an utter crime because I don't know if they've ever been relegated out of that top flight. And in likable fashion, in the other Farmers League, Ligue 1, Lyon is currently dead last in Ligue 1.
Oh.
And they are awful. Their goal differentials like -73 already. Like it's okay, it's not that bad, but it's bad. Like they look awful as well. So for me, it's Ajax 1A, Lyon 1B.
Great answers.
On another note, I about teams that are doing well, kind of surprising for how bad Joe's squad in Argentina, Independiente, was doing since Carlos Tevez has taken over as manager, have not lost a game.
Trending, baby.
They are trending upward very quickly.
Can
So
you help me understand how the hell the Argentinian league works? Like, is it broken into 2 different seasons?
so they do have yeah, it's a little complicated. I'm still learning myself because it changed with COVID that season where they had a huge table. I think there was over 24 to like 28 teams, and they played they didn't even do a home and home. So this year, River won what would have been their winter tournament. So now they're going into their summer, but now they have like they're divided up in
2 groups.
I'm learning myself. I have to go back and look at this. So it is a very unique format.
First phase and second phase.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
weird because and just like Independiente is doing amazing now, the club that I chose to represent, San Lorenzo, they are abysmal, and they were like second or third in the first group, like in the first half.
So is Boca Juniors right now. They're doing well in the Copa Argentina. They're in the finals of the Libertadores, but league play has just been atrocious. They lost yesterday to Racing Club, so not going well for the folks. But hey, we're hopeful. Semifinals and one tournament and finals and the big continental tournament. So hey, we'll see if we can bring home the number 7.
Big Shot. Any thoughts?
Yeah, or a disappointing team or in general.
Final
Yes.
thoughts.
Well, so this, so here's my general thought. FIFA, whoever this is, they got to figure out a way to do something about how they organize these international breaks. There's another one in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's like 3 games every time, and then it's another international break.
Like there are people who are supposedly much smarter than me. Like, figure it out. Like 3 international breaks in the first month.
Especially after the World Cup just ended not too long ago. Like it's not like we're trying to jump right into fucking qualifying right away.
Well, you say that, but one team is already eliminated for the World Cup, and it's still 3 years away. So,
Sorry.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know. It I guess that is pretty difficult, and I think the MLS has to work on also how are they going to accommodate these international breaks into their schedule. and figure something out, because I think with the MLS schedule the way it is now, teams are really hurting when it is international break. And now that they're getting more and more growth and more players, more international players,
i.e. Messi.
i.e. Messi. Yes.
He didn't want to say it, but that's what he's
Well, it
talking
doesn't
about.
matter because we know it's not a big deal. We already know that international break, he's not sticking around Miami. That's for sure. He's not going to be, I don't think even Beckham can tell him that, hey, you're not going to go play in this international break. He's like, all right, get on my private jet and I'm off to Buenos Aires.
I need you to go to Seattle to play the Sounders instead.
Right.
No. Can I just ask a quick question? Like, why do Americans have to reinvent the fucking wheel every single time when it comes to our leagues? Like, what is this best of 3 in the MLS playoffs? Like, why?
It's redonkulous, but it's a way to add in an extra game, a way to add in extra money. I'm sure it was something that someone from Apple TV came up with a brilliant idea of, hey, let's add another game to add to our broadcast. I'm sure it's a marketing, a financial reason, but it makes no sense from a football point of view, because I'm not going to play 3 games. Just do a home and home aggregate scoring.
Yes.
It's been done like that for years, right?
Eons. The world has been pretty good about this game. It's almost like they've been playing it for forever. And here we are, and we're like, you know what we need? Let's add another game.
We need a series. We need a 3-game series.
Even more, extend the playoffs. Okay, extend the playoffs, and then just do single elimination, where even if you do have a tie, well, you always go to shootout to decide the tie. If you want to add more games, well, you can add more teams, but I think the best of 3, and that's hard because that's a lot of games. A lot of games. Same with the League Cup tournament. Okay, great tournament, fine, all dandy. But you look at the MLS teams and the amount of games that they played in that short amount of time, and that's rough. So I think if they figure something out with the schedule and be able to implement all the tournaments they want to play, I think that's great, but have a better distribution of it. And they might have to extend their season. And I know that's not ideal because of North American climate, but I don't know.
Sorry, Ron. I know I dragged this on a little bit longer than normal.
That's okay. Okay, we'll condense it a little bit for the next one, but remember, Stoppage Time Football Club is the Facebook group. Stoppage Time Football Club is the YouTube. We're gonna try to make these a little bit more frequent, so maybe they don't run as long. But we had to get it all out. We had like 5-6 weeks of build-up, so forgive us. Run the show back. Man City Joe, Chelsea Zach, Chelsea Jack, Barcelona Diego, Ron, Stoppage Time Football Club.